Why SPAC? Why now? And what does this help you achieve as a cybersecurity firm in a world where the threat is constantly and rapidly evolving?
Great question. So why did we go public at this time? We have a unique offering in collective defense with some, I think, game-changing technical capabilities to detect threats with behavioral models. We thought this was the right time. We thought the SPAC process and going public would help us accelerate our growth. And I think the public and private sector need this capability today, so we're pushing it forward. You know, my time at NSA and Cyber Command, this was a gap that we saw. And the reason we created this company was to fill that gap. And that's how the public and private sector could create, if you will, a radar picture to see threats and attacks on our nation.
It's interesting that you mentioned that gap. President Biden just met with big tech CEOs, including Apple CEO Tim Cook, Sundar Pichai, at Alphabet Satya Nadella, at Microsoft Andy Jassy, at Amazon, to talk about cybersecurity and what the private sector can do more. And he talked about the lack of talent to fill some of these jobs in cybersecurity and seemed to put the onus on the private sector to do more training. What do you make of that argument and that problem?
Well, clearly, we need more people, and this is part of the problem. You know, when you think about the amount of information, it's doubling every year, the number of devices, the number of applications, all of that's growing and doubling every year. We can't double the number of people. So we have to do a push on people, and we have to make the technology grow and provide us greater capabilities. I'll give you a great case in point. Look at 90 mid-sized banks. They each have about 10 people working in the security ops center. Each of those 10 are working on that one bank, and down the road's another bank with 10 people. What if we brought all those together in a collective defense? You'd now have 900 people working together. So I think it's a combination of taking that new technology and coupling it with a growing workforce. That's what we need to do, I think, both as the private and the public sector.
So how do you see the threat landscape evolving? You know, obviously we've seen really high-profile attacks this year: Colonial Pipeline, JBS, the meatpacking plant. We're seeing cryptocurrency get involved in these hacks, and hackers using that to disguise their identity or disguise their trail. What does the next year in cyber attacks look like? Does it only get worse?
I think it's going to continue to grow, and part of the reason is everything that we're doing is connecting to this network. 5G will increase it perhaps by an order of magnitude or more with the number of devices. This network is going to grow significantly. And with it will become all these gaps and vulnerabilities we just talked about growing as well. So we need to figure this out now and train as a nation. I do like the way the administration has put together the public-private partnership and working together. We absolutely need to do it. And we need to take it a step further with our allies. So when you think about this, that's the future where adversaries are going to attack us. It's easy to get there. You don't have to fly. You don't have to bring an army in. You can hit us in cyber. And we need to be prepared for that.
Right. Now, we're in the middle of a historic moment, General Alexander. The United States has just announced we have officially and completely pulled out of Afghanistan. The last U.S. service members have left. We know that the Taliban is much more technologically savvy than they were 20 years ago. We can assume that other terrorist groups like ISIS-K are as well. From a cyber perspective, putting on your national security agency hat, what are the threats in cyberspace that you worry about here?
Well, first, our thoughts and prayers should go out to the people of Afghanistan and to the families of those soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines that were killed over the last week. We should keep them in our hearts and our minds. Having said that, so what is it that I'm concerned about? I think we saw destructive attacks back 9 years ago when Iran attacked Saudi Aramco and then threatened our financial sector. I think I am most concerned about those who have little to lose attacking our infrastructure with destructive attacks. To prevent that, this is where that public-private partnership really has to come together. You're going to see a China steal intellectual property. I don't think they will attack unless we get into a situation in the South China Sea or Taiwan. Same thing with Russia. I think they're going to be reluctant to attack. They're going to steal money. ransomware and attacks on our infrastructure. But those countries like Iran and North Korea, who have little to lose, and if they get pinned into a place where they want to respond, as they did 9 years ago, they're going to do it again. That's what we need to be ready for. So it's a combination. And then you have these ransomware and hackers out there to get money. They're doing what they can to go after us. That's a lot of money our nation is losing. Add the intellectual property theft and the ransomware costs. This is huge. We've got to put a stop to it. That's our future. That's your children, my grandchildren's future. We need to fix that.
So quickly, does the destabilization of Afghanistan change that picture, that balance of power in cyberspace at all? Quickly.
I think everybody's got to be concerned about that. What happens with Afghanistan, going back 20 plus years, when you look at where it came from, what happened to our country in 9/11, we have to be concerned about it. We have to track that. It's not just a US problem. The world has to come together to address this problem. And I am concerned about the destabilization, not only in Afghanistan, but in the region. What does that mean for us? And how are we going to work together to prevent that from happening? That's a really tough problem.